Hello guys, welcome back. Today I'll be discussing with you the contribution of the Indian geographers. As you all may be aware, India has been the home of the most ancient civilizations, been the cradle of the human civilizations, and the contributions of the Indian geographers is no less compared to the contributions of Greeks, Romans, or even the Chinese geographers. Unfortunately, in spite of so much of contributions right from the Vedic times, there has not been a clear-cut documentation of the various contributions or any records that have been preserved. But in spite of this lack of documentation in the form of any particular record which displays all the contributions of Indian geographers, many of the evidences of these contributions can be gathered from the Vedic text, the Vedikas, the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, and also the Jain and the Buddhist text, some of the documents which have been preserved and well documented, from which we gather there is a lot of contribution from the Indian geographers. Though there have been a lot of scholars who knew the geographical knowledge and also about the earth and the astronomy and all that, four of them are very prominent and have significantly contributed towards geography. One is the Varahamira, the other is Brahmagupta, and of course you all know about Aryabhatta and Bhaskaracharya. So while we learn about the various contributions through the scriptures, we will try to clearly understand what each of these four have contributed towards the development of geography. Okay, I will now take you through some slides and we will understand the contribution of the Indian geographers. So we'll see the contributions of Indian geographers, no less significant than the contributions of geographers from Greek, Roman, Chinese, American, Europe, or anywhere. So, though we did not have proper documentation on the way the contributions have been made by the various Indian geographers, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the various Vedic texts, as well as the text from Buddhism and Jainism, are evident that there has been immense contribution as far as the Indian geographers is concerned. So from the Vedic times, Indians had classified the material world into 5 elements, what is called as the Pancha Mahabhuta. And then the roots of the Indian geography are clearly available in the ancient literature, such as the Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Brahmagupta, Varmahira, who had contributed quite a lot to astronomy, wherein they had put in theories and concepts related to the planetary positions, the planetary movements, the planetary forces, and also some directions and cardinal points related to the earthquakes and volcanoes, atmospheric disturbances, etc. But since during this period communication was not up to the mark, the scholars had limited knowledge about the earth, but they knew what were called as the Dvipas, the 7 Dvipas. You please remember, if there is a question related to the contributions of Indian geography, please mention about these Dvipas. Draw a nice diagram showing the various dvipas, and I'll show you one diagram in my next slide. And then the earliest mention of geography was made in 8th century in a Puranic text called the Bhagavad Purana. And the oldest Veda, the Rig Veda, clearly states the idea of 6 directions. And then Antariksha was also calculated as 12 yojanas, which is equivalent to about 96 kilometers. The word India has been mentioned in Bharatavarsha. So this is the Jambu Dvipa. So you can draw this diagram. This is the possible location of the seven Dvipas according to the Puranas. This also the extent of this Dvipic world can be drawn and shown like this to write an impressive answer. And then the term Bhugola or geography was coined, and it was given in Surya Siddhanta. And then the first geographical map of the earth find its mention in the Maharshi Vedavyasas, the writer of Mahabharata. This also you can mention. And then the great King Bharat, who was responsible for the Namakaran of our vast nation, as he was a sovereign king, and he visualized the fundamental unity of the country. And then, as I said, mention the contributions of Varahamira, Brahmagupta, Aryabhatta, and Bhaskaracharya. So this is the contribution of each of them. Please note down. This is Brahmagupta. He was a mathematician, he was an astrologer, and he was the modern Bhinmal in Rajasthan, India. So he correctly established the doctrine of Dharma, doctrine of Brahma. And then contribution of Aryabhatta, you all know he was a very famous mathematician who firmly declared that the shape of the earth is spherical. Then Bhaskaracharya, he was the Indian mathematician and astronomer who extended Brahmagupta's work on the number system, and he made a very important contribution which remained the unparalleled in the history of that times, that is that Bija Ganita. And then during the Middle Ages also, the Al-Biruni's Tariq or Kitab-e-Hind, these are all good mentions of the way Indian geography developed during the Middle Ages. Then even during the British India it developed. Later on it was divided into 5 phases. I will show you how it developed. So the progress of geography as an independent discipline, it took a lot of time for geography to establish itself as a complete full-fledged discipline, but after it got established, after the British rule, then it got established as an independent discipline. Even as an independent discipline, it very gradually progressed in its evolution. It can best be understood through its development in a series of sequential phases. You can divide these into 5 phases. The formative stage is the 1950s, pre-1950s. Then the informative stage, the confirmative stage, and the reformative stage. So in the formative stage, that is the pre-1950s, He had the geographical contributions of H.L. Chibber and S.P. Chatterjee. S.P. Chatterjee was particularly very influential as far as not only in bringing about the contributions of Indian geography, but also he, he held an international seminar wherein he invited a lot of foreign scholars and brought geography as a center stage to India. And then the informative stage was in the 50s. This is when the geography became a national base immediately after the incident, after the India's independence. And the main torch bearers were O.H.K. Speight and D.L. Stamp. The monumental work of Speight of India and Pakistan laid foundations for the geographic discipline. And then you had R.L. Singh from Banaras, who laid the foundations of the urban geography. Even today, his books are a standard reference for urban geography. And then later on, during this phase, the NATMO was established, which gave rise to a lot of significance with relation to the thematic mapping, including the national atlas and some of the regional atlases. Then the confirmative stage, this is where under the presidentship of S.P. Chatterjee, a most important international event was organized, that is the International Geographic Congress. It was held in New Delhi in 1968. This brought in a lot of Indian universities and many foreign universities who all joined together in one place and discussed the future of how geography should be evolving. And then the reformative stage, this is the stage when some of the departments grew up. Nearly about 48 departments were established, and in the Indian Council of Social Science Research, ICSSR also was established through a project and a survey. And then this is when the economic geography and geography related to planning and historical geography, political geography, regional geography, etc. also grew up as independent subdivisions of geography. So at this stage was also nearly 50 years has been completed, though the we were about 100 years behind. Nevertheless, the Indian geography compared to modern geography is very young, and there are various reasons why there has been so much of regrettable gaps in the Indian knowledge as far as geography was concerned. But nevertheless, finally it took off, not before it was realized that nation can only neglect geography only at its peril. So the need of the hour was to develop a methodological system of Indian geography, which should have its own distinctive traits and intellectual and scientific discipline findings that have been made by many of the geographers to bring about a meaningful synthesis of the cultural heritage and also the physio-technological progress that has been made. So it was felt at that time that the geography can only progress and sustain itself for a longer time only if it identifies India's common problems and gives geographical solutions to those problems and in a very sustained way. So that's all about the way the geography of India evolved. Please remember those 5 stages, and they are important. You can also easily remember by adding 1 or 2 points in each of the stages, and you can write a well-rounded answer when there is a question related to the contributions of Indian geographers towards geography of India. So that's all, guys. Stay well and stay safe, study well, stay focused. The geography optionals, if it is studied systematically and scientifically, it is quite easy and it can be very scoring. Don't try to jump the gun and all that. We have enough time to study. Just spend a few quality hours in the geography optional, and I'm sure all of you will do very well. So thanks a lot, and we'll catch up in the next class, that is the pre-modern era, where we'll be discussing some of the most core geographical issues and geographers. We'll be talking about Frederick Ratzel, Richthofen, and they're all who made a lot of difference, who took geography to its dizzy heights. So stay tuned, and we look forward in meeting you all very soon. Bye.